Alright folks, it's time for another drum video, and today, as you can see, I have the drums all mic'd up and running it into a mixer and then taking the line out of the mixer and going into the computer. So I'm not able to do this multi-track, but it's a pretty good for not having spent any money. I've tuned the toms, or mixed the toms a little bit low because you can hear them resonate whenever I hit the bass drum. So they may not be as loud as I would want them, but again, it's pretty good for just dealing with the equipment that I have. So today I want to talk about paradiddles on the drum set, and mainly a rudiment called the paradiddle diddle. I will do something with the single paradiddle real quick, but so with the paradiddle diddle, it's basically a rudiment that does not alternate, and most of the time people will lead with the left hand with it, or not the left hand, the right hand with it, and the sticking for it is right, left, right, right, left, left. So you just repeat that over and over again. So I'll just demonstrate that here on the snare drum. So, as you can probably guess, this is kind of an easy way, once you get it going, to be able to do 16th note triplets without having to do, single stroking, like. So that's just me single stroking it. So you can use this kind of all over the drum set just to sort of do some quick fills. So I'll demonstrate that real quick. So what I got my vocal mic pretty hot there. So as you can guess, the first note is accented, and so what I'm doing is I'm just transferring that note over to other parts of the drum set or the cymbals. And that was a kind of a slow tempo. So once you start speeding it up, it sounds more impressive. So that's a fill, or an idea that I like to use a lot on the drum set, and I think it's pretty common to substitute paradiddle diddles for just single stroke triplets. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is a while back I did a video talking about the Keith Carlock rolling fill, and since that video was published, another video came out where somebody was actually interviewing Keith at the drum set, and this person asked him about the rolling fill, and Keith basically said that it's based off of a paradiddle diddle except for the two hits on the bass drum, and that's how he kind of started doing it. Now, when I demonstrated that fill, I didn't really think of it as a paradiddle diddle, but now I'm sort of updating my idea here, and I'll show you real quick what he was doing. He basically started it with the bass drum and then did the right left on the toms, and then the right right left left on the snare drum. So that's apparently how he kind of started doing that, and then eventually he just started extending the roll in between. So that's kind of how he did that, and that's a prime example of how to incorporate paradiddles, maybe in an unconventional kind of way. And it's getting into a little bit more advanced ideas, and I know there's probably a lot of things that I haven't considered myself yet with it. Okay, so one last thing, you can actually turn the single paradiddle into a drum beat between the hi-hat and the snare drum. I mean, you can also do it on the ride cymbals, which I'll do that as well. And I think a lot of people know Steve Gadd for having done beats like this, but I don't know if he did it first or who did it first. But I know he's known for this. So what you do is you behave like you're playing a single paradiddle, because regularly on just one instrument you would just go right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. But what we're going to do is bring the left hand over to the snare drum and play basically the same thing. So once you start to speed that up a little bit, it actually starts taking on a bit of a groove. So once you have the groove kind of set in place, then you got to do something with the bass drum. And something you can do just real simple when you're doing this is just, put the bass drum on 1 and 3. Then once you get more used to that, then you can do, more complicated things with the bass drum, like kind of more of a Latin thing. So yeah, that's something really cool that you can do. And then you can also transfer it to the ride cymbals. Unmute the mic. So yeah, actually it turns out I'm not using the toms a whole lot for this video anyway. So yeah, so some really neat things you can do with paradiddles on the drum set. And this is just a few things. I didn't want to do a particularly long video for this. But I think it's just another example of how learning rudiments can add a number of weapons to your arsenal on the drum set. So hopefully this gives some of the viewers some ideas, and I'll probably have another drum set video pretty soon because I've got a couple more ideas. So until next time, take care, guys.